Hi, my name is Alessandro Cangelosi and this is another tip tutorial from cgcookie.com. On this very simple tutorial, we'll talk about some stuffs like groups, layers, xrefs, and container. We start with this first tip to talk about how to work with the assets in your machine and how to group it and how to work on a pipeline with more artists using all the same stuffs for every single artist. And we can start checking how to use the groups and the layers in 3ds Max 2010. And on the next tip, next week we'll talk about container and xrefs. The group feature is a feature that we can use to group the mesh or maybe all the every kind of effects and objects in inside 3ds Max. When I group some stuffs inside Max, I can work on the group as a single object. Let's start to talk about checking it in 3ds Max. So I'm removing the grid on the viewport, pressing the G key on the keyboard, and I can start to check the stuffs, and I can see that we can create some mesh uh, using very simple primitives, and uh, I can touch and select every single mesh. But if I'd like to make some changes or to work on the series mesh as a single mesh, I cannot do it. I have to select everything and work on it. So the best way is to create, in this case, a group, and we can make a very simple uh, example. And we can have, for example, let's work on something like let's check this one, and I'm searching for some simple mesh that we can use for this test. Let's see there, and let's see for example some trees, and I can use the generic palm, and okay, I created the first one, and now I make some clone, and we can make uh, 8 copy as instance. And now we can work on this meshes like single meshes. But for example, if I'd like to move everything or maybe to scale everything, the best way is to select all the mesh we'd like to have in a single group. You can go in the group menu, and you can click on group, and it is asking us for the name for the group, and we can call it tree group. Okay, and now as you can see, we have a single object inside 3ds Max that is the tree group, and we can work on it as a single mesh, and everything we do on the group will be done also on the single mesh. And I can, for example, scale it or move it or rotate it, or maybe I can copy it, as you can see, and actually I'm copying the group. Okay, let's talk about the various operations I can do on a group. To work on the group, I can go again in the group menu, and as you can see, now we have something that we can choose, and we have ungroup. If I use ungroup, we have number groups, and we have again all the single mesh, and we can go back at the group. Okay, now we have again the group, and we can work on it. And for example, another thing I'd like to say you is that if I create another group, I can select the group and I can make another group, and I can call it all the trees. And as you can see, now we have a single group with inside two groups. So it's very useful that you can create the group and you can you can make a nested group with inside other groups. Okay, let's ungroup, and we have the groups inside. I can remove it, and we have the possibility to work again on the single mesh, and we have to select the group. We have to go in the group menu and we have to click on open, and now I can work on the single mesh, as you can see, and the group exists inside 3ds Max, but now I can work on the single mesh inside the group. When I finished to work on the single mesh, I can go in the group and I have to select a single mesh from the group minimum, and I can click on close, and I have again my group with inside the mesh, and the mesh are changed by the my modification. Okay, other things I can do, we checked out to create a group, how to ungroup the meshes, how to open a group to work on a single mesh, how to close the group when we finish to work on a single mesh. And we have the possibility, if we open the group, to detach a mesh. So I selected a single mesh and I clicked on group, detach. Now if I close the group, we have the group, and this tree is detached from the group. Obviously you can do the same steps to attach something. So I can open the group, I can select this one, and I can make attach. Sorry, it is not working more. Okay, I think I had a problem with the selection. So I can close this group. Sorry, I can close the group. I can select the detached mesh. I can go in the group menu. I can click on attach and then select the closed groups. And now we have inside the objects back inside the group again. Okay, let's move forward for the next features from group in 3ds Max. The last feature we have to check is the explode. The explode is similar to the ungroup, and if I create explode, if I use explode, as you can see, we have no more the group and we have all the single mesh. But the explode is useful because it works also with nested groups. So I can group it, let's call it group 1, group 2, and let's select the two groups and create a new group and call it nested group. Okay, this is a group. Now if I go in the group menu and I click on explode, as you can see, I have all the single meshes, and also the nested groups was ungrouped. So it is useful when you have a lot of nested mesh and groups inside a single group. Okay, that's all for the group feature in 3ds Max. It is very useful to work on assemblies of mesh and to work on a faster way on a lot of objects similar in any way. The next step is to talk about the layering system in 3ds Max. We have not so much time for this first tip tutorial, so let's start only to introduce the layering system feature, and we'll talk about it on the next tip next week. The layer system is completely different from the grouping system, and you can find it there on this icon, manage layers, and you can see that we have this panel and we have the possibility to work on more layers, and for every single layer we can make assemblies of meshes, objects, lights, and whatever else. And you can hide it, you can freeze it, you can select if the layer is renderable or not, and it is very useful because you can subdivide the scene in layers, and you can have a very fast way to hide or unhide or make renderable or not the layers in a very fast way, so you can subdivide by layers the scene, and it is useful for complex scene. Very useful. So we'll talk about the layering system on the next tip next week. For the moment, that's all, and uh, thanks for everything. And I hope we can meet again next week on cgcookie.com. Thanks. Bye.